A tired nurse rushes to help an injured student in the hospital cafeteria, his hands trembling, uniform stained with dishwater from his night shift. What she doesn't expect is that this same young man will soon ask her a question that changes both their lives forever. "Be my date to the dance," he says shyly. What happens next is something no one could have imagined. Ethan Miller's mornings always started before sunrise. He'd roll out of bed in his small dorm room, textbooks spread across his nightstand, and the faint smell of burnt coffee filling the air. His scholarship covered tuition, but everything else, rent, meals, and books, came from his own hands. By day, Ethan was a quiet literature student with dreams of becoming a writer. By night, he washed dishes at a 24-hour diner, earning barely enough to keep the lights on. Yet despite the exhaustion written on his face, there was something about him, a quiet kindness that made people feel seen. Sometimes, when customers left late at night, Ethan would slip leftover food into boxes and leave them near the homeless shelter's steps. No one knew it was him. But on one particularly exhausting morning, after pulling an all-nighter at work, Ethan fainted while delivering breakfast trays at the college cafeteria and woke up in the hospital. That's where he first saw her. Lily. She wore light blue scrubs, her blonde hair tied up loosely, strands framing a face that looked both tired and gentle. She smiled as she checked his pulse. "You work too hard," she said softly. Ethan chuckled weakly. "Comes with being broke." He didn't know she was volunteering or that her world was nothing like his. To him, she was just kind, real, different from anyone else he'd met. Before leaving, she tucked a small note beside his bed. "Don't give up. The world needs people like you." That note became his motivation for the week. And when the college charity dance was announced, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about her. Before we continue with this incredible journey, I spent countless hours researching and crafting this story to bring you something truly meaningful. If stories like this touch your heart and you want to see more acts of kindness that restore faith in humanity, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. It means the world to me and helps these stories reach others who need to hear them. Now let's see what happens. When Ethan finally asks her that question, "Have you ever witnessed an act of kindness that completely changed your perspective?" Share your story in the comments below. A week after his hospital visit, Ethan couldn't shake Lily from his thoughts. Every time he wiped down a diner counter or stacked plates at closing, her note echoed in his head. "The world needs people like you." One rainy afternoon, while delivering coffee to the hospital cafeteria, he spotted her again sitting alone, her stethoscope hanging loosely around her neck. Reading a paperback novel, Ethan hesitated, clutching the coffee pot. Then, with his heart pounding, he walked over. "Hey," he said nervously. "I think you saved my life last week." She looked up, surprised, then smiled. "Oh, the overworked student. Feeling better?" "Trying to," Ethan replied, rubbing the back of his neck. "Coffee delivery's my second calling, apparently." She laughed, a soft, genuine sound that made the world feel lighter. As they talked, Ethan learned that Lily volunteered at the hospital part-time while finishing her final year of medical studies. She was humble, asking more about him than herself. Before leaving, he blurted out, "There's a charity dance next weekend. It's kind of a big deal for the scholarship fund. Would you maybe go with me?" Lily blinked, momentarily stunned. No one had ever asked her something so straightforward, so sincere without knowing who she really was. Then, with a warm smile, she said, "I'd love to." Ethan froze. "Wait, seriously?" "Seriously," she said. "But only if you promise not to collapse this time." They laughed, both unaware that this simple moment was the start of something much bigger. The next day, Lily stopped by the diner after her shift, not as a customer, but as a helper. She rolled up her sleeves and started wiping tables beside him. "You shouldn't have to do all this alone," she said. Ethan looked at her, speechless. "You're really something," he whispered. "So are you," she replied. In that moment, under the flickering diner lights, two worlds quietly began to collide, one of wealth and comfort, the other of hard work and quiet resilience. But neither of them was ready for the truth about who Lily really was. Over the next few weeks, Ethan and Lily's friendship blossomed into something rare and unspoken. She'd visit the diner after her shifts, bringing him leftover meals from the hospital kitchen for research, she'd joke. He, in turn, helped her study during quiet hours, quizzing her on anatomy terms between coffee refills. They found comfort in their similarities, both driven, both lonely in different ways. Ethan admired Lily's gentleness, her ability to listen without judgment. Lily admired his grit, how he carried hope even when life gave him so little reason to point one night. While cleaning up, Ethan said softly, "You ever feel like the world expects too much from you?" She smiled sadly. "All the time. But maybe the world just needs people who try anyway." That night, he realized he didn't just like her, he respected her. The charity dance was only days away. Ethan couldn't afford new clothes, so he stayed late after work, sewing up a tear in his only suit jacket. His best friend, Marcus, teased, "Man, she's way out of your league." Ethan shrugged, smiling. "She's not about leagues. She's about kindness." Meanwhile, Lily stood before her mirror, torn. She had promised to go, but had kept her identity a secret. Her father, Charles Wellington, was one of the hospital's major benefactors. If Ethan discovered who she really was, would he think she'd been playing with him? Still, she decided she'd go as herself, not as Wellington's daughter, but as Lily, the woman Ethan had come to know. The night of the dance glowed with soft lights and laughter. Ethan waited at the entrance, holding a single daisy. When Lily arrived in a simple blue dress, everyone turned to stare not because of her beauty, but because the CEO's daughter had just walked into a college fundraiser with a waiter from the diner. Whispers filled the room. "Is that her? She's here with him?" Ethan froze as realization sank in. "You're Wellington?" Her eyes glistened. "Yes, but I wanted you to know me, not my name." He stepped back, hurt flickering across his face. "I can't compete with that world, Lily. I wash dishes in it." Lily reached for him, whispering, "Ethan, please don't walk away." But he already had. In the following days, the diner felt colder. Lily tried calling, but Ethan avoided her. He wasn't angry, just ashamed. In his mind, love wasn't meant for someone like him. But little did he know, Lily wasn't giving up. She was about to show him that true kindness doesn't see status, only heart. 3 days shave passed since the dance. Ethan buried himself in work, pretending the ache in his chest wasn't there. The diner manager noticed. "Kid, you've been pouring salt instead of sugar in coffee all day. Go home before you ruin someone's breakfast." He laughed weakly, but his heart wasn't in it. That evening, as he left his shift, headlights flashed across the empty parking lot. Lily stood there, shivering slightly in her scrubs. She'd been waiting for hours. "Ethan," she said softly, "I didn't tell you because I didn't want money or pity. I just wanted to feel normal for once. You made me feel seen." He hesitated, guilt flickering in his eyes. "And I made you feel judged. That's on me." They stood there under the streetlight, two worlds colliding, but somehow fitting perfectly together. Finally, he stepped forward, offering his jacket, the same one he'd stitched by hand. "Then let's start over. No titles, no walls." The following weeks changed everything. Lily began volunteering more hours at the free clinic Ethan's college sponsored. With her father's quiet support after she finally told him about Ethan, they expanded the clinic's funding to provide jobs for struggling students. When Charles Wellington met Ethan for the first time, the tension was thick. The older man studied him before saying simply, "My daughter speaks highly of you." That's rare for her. Ethan nodded respectfully. "I just try to be the kind of person she already thinks I am." For a moment, Charles was silent, then smiled. "Then perhaps we should all try that." Months later, the college hosted another charity event, this time to celebrate the clinic's success. As the lights dimmed and the music began, Lily extended her hand toward Ethan. "Be my date to this dance?" She teased, echoing his words from months before. He grinned, taking her hand. "Only if you promise not to surprise me with another secret identity." The crowd watched as they danced, not the nurse and the poor student, not the CEO's daughter and the scholarship kid, just two hearts that had chosen kindness over fear. As they laughed beneath the soft glow of string lights, a group of younger students watched nearby, inspired, whispering how the couple who'd once defied expectations now ran the university's mentorship program for underprivileged students. Their story had spread not as a tale of luck, but of love that saw beyond circumstance, because in the end, it wasn't about who had more. It was about who gave more of themselves. This story shows how one act of courage and kindness can bridge worlds. What's one way you could look beyond labels and see someone's true worth today? Share your answer in the comments. You never know who it might inspire. 2 years later, A quiet cafe near the hospital buzzed with laughter. On one side of the room, Ethan, now in a crisp shirt and modest tie, sat behind a laptop with the words Miller Wellington Foundation for Student Healthcare printed on his mug. Across from him, Lily, now a full-fledged doctor, adjusted her stethoscope while teasing. "You still tap your pen when you're nervous before presentations." He grinned. "And you still show up uninvited to my meetings." Their laughter filled the room, the sound of two people who had once stood on opposite ends of society, now united in purpose. Together, they had founded a scholarship program helping underprivileged students in medical and nursing fields, the same kind of students who once dreamed as Ethan did. What began as a shy question, "Be my date to the dance," had turned into something far bigger than either of them imagined. Charles Wellington, Lily's father, had grown close to Ethan too. He often said, "Funny thing about kindness, when you give it away, you never really lose it. You just multiply it." That philosophy became the motto engraved on the foundation's plaque, and every year, the couple returned to the same college gym, the same floor where Ethan had once danced nervously under flickering lights to sponsor the event for new students, encouraging them to believe that their story could start with a single act of courage. This story isn't just about love. It's about seeing people beyond uniforms, beyond paychecks, beyond last names. Ethan didn't know Lily was a CEO's daughter, and Lily didn't see Ethan as a poor student. They just saw each other, two souls connected by compassion and humility. Because sometimes the most extraordinary acts of kindness are the simplest ones: asking someone to dance, sharing a meal, or listening when the world forgets to. Stories like this remind us that extraordinary kindness exists all around us. If this touched your heart, please like this video. It helps more people discover these inspiring stories. Subscribe for more true-to-life tales that restore faith in humanity. And most importantly, look for moments in your day to be someone's unexpected blessing. What act of kindness will you perform this week? Tell us in the comments, because you never know how far a single kind gesture can reach.